What's up, and welcome to another edition of the Cover 2 Recap. I'm Edward Lewis, publisher of BruinsSportsport.com. He's Ryan Karchi, the OC Register, I don't know, what are you now? Franchise tag beat writer?
Franchise writer, I think, is the proper term. It's officially on my contract. So.
One of the last possible Cover 2 recaps we'll be doing with Ryan. But, Ryan, we have you here today, and a lot of news and notes from the first day of UCLA spring ball out here at Spalding Field. And Jim Mora kicked it off really well in his press conference, giving us a lot of news and notes, saying Devin Lucien has decided to transfer. He kind of got a little weird about it, said as of yesterday, he thought he was in transfer, and as of this morning, maybe not, but he said he's definitely off the team. So I don't know really where it goes from here. I talked to Devin last night, and he said, just was a lot of things that caused him to leave. But, I mean, where does UCLA go with that one?
I think they'll be fine just in terms of wide receiver depth. I mean, they've had a lot of guys, almost too many guys to even get them enough touches. So really, I don't think it affects him too much other than, this is a guy who had the experience, who obviously had the athleticism and the skills to make it happen, but he never really put it together, and he always kind of got the feel that he didn't necessarily jive with the coaching staff, or he never showed up at the times that he would have needed to really ascend into a starting spot or a featured role. But, wish him luck. I'm sure he'll succeed wherever he goes off to. He does have that talent. So I think at this point it just wasn't the right fit, and I think that's kind of what he saw.
Another big storyline was Adrian Clem, who's suspended with pay for alleged NCAA violations, was not out here today. Jim Moore really declined to comment on all of it, said he doesn't really have any deadline or timeline he can give us. Blake Benz, one of the graduate assistants / assistant coaches, was working the O-line. Dave Marsh will be doing it. Morris said Kennedy Palomalu perhaps later this month will be doing it as well. I didn't really notice too much of a difference. I mean, it's a very veteran group. A lot of the same starters coming back. Was there anything you noticed about no Clem on the field today?
Not really, and I think that at this point you have so many guys coming back that it's not like you're throwing freshmen, sophomores into the mix and asking them to do stuff that, Clem hadn't already taught them. So I think at this point it's not really going to matter. The question is how long it lingers, and will it linger through the whole spring? Probably, I would assume, but I'm assuming it'll be, decided before fall.
Jake Brendel didn't seem too concerned about it in the post-game press conference. A couple injury notes. Caleb Benenoch was out here today but didn't do anything. Austin Roberts was out here today for the first time really in his UCLA career. He looked like almost exactly what Eldridge Maston looked like last year when he was coming off that ACL injury. You could tell it's dragging a little bit. Scott Quisenberry was out after another surgery a couple weeks ago. Randall Goforth was back in a red jersey. Looked actually very good, I thought. Simon Goins was back out, also looked very good, trimmer and more in shape. A couple position changes. Dwight Williams moved to safety. Najee Torin moved to D lineman. Colby Seibert moved to tight end. But other than that, I mean, not any real huge notes. Any of those stand out to you?
I think safety a little bit just because, Jim Morris said that besides quarterback, which everyone's going to be watching, safety will be the position he's most interested in. I think it'll be an interesting battle to watch, especially, I know Tahan Goodman fell out of favor a little bit towards the end of last year. Maybe he can kind of redeem himself. Goforth, I'm sure, will be limited once, pads really start to come on. He was in a red jersey today. Jaleel Wadood, I think, is a guy I'd really like to see what he can do this spring. I think he played well enough to easily earn a starting role. He definitely looked better than Tahan Goodman towards the end of the year, and I think he'll probably prove that here in the spring.
So the other big storyline we were all watching today was obviously quarterbacks. Josh Rosen's first day out here as a Bruin, I thought he looked tremendous. I mean, I know they're going to rotate every day or every other day or every 2 weeks or whatever Jim Morris said. They're going to try to do 2 quarterbacks a day, and today was more of Ashanti Woolard and Jerry Neuheisel. But Rosen got in a few reps in one-on-ones, got in a drive in 7-on-7, and the way that ball just pops off his hands. I know this is going to be, this is only one day and it's overreaction, but in my opinion, he is the best quarterback out here, and I don't know if it's close. Do you share that opinion after day one?
I mean, in my opinion, I saw him just solve world poverty while he was out there after one day. So he's, hunger is next, and then beyond that, the California drought, I think, hopefully by the end of the week. No, but I think it's pretty clear he's the best quarterback out here. I actually was impressed with Jerry Neuheisel. I thought he looked pretty crisp. I think early on you'll see him get most of the reps just because he has that kind of leadership role. But, there were a few throws Rosen made 40 yards down the field just straight into the chest of receivers. A few of them that the receivers couldn't even hold on to. He was just gunning them to him. So I think at this point, once Jerry Neuheisel is asked to throw deeper passes, there will be a different – I think that space in between them will expand. But it doesn't sound like they're that eager to name a starting quarterback this spring, which at this point I don't know why you would. Like, I know we talked about it when Brett Hundley was named on you. Everyone pretty much knew it was going to be Brett Hundley, but they still waited until the fall. And I almost think that's especially with a freshman quarterback, that's almost better. You let them learn as if they're that up and coming guy. And then in the fall, they can really take control of the team. So at this point, I don't think Rosen needs to really exert any control over the team. So why not just have him kind of playing from behind the whole time? So it'll be interesting once they have him throw a little bit more. Like you said, didn't see him throw too much. There were a few first day confusion things that you could see, but nothing to be worried about at all going forward. Again, it's after one day. So he's not quite Troy Aikman yet. Sorry, to everyone's dismay.
But if we're talking about top performers, he's probably one of them. Let's go into a couple more. I liked Kenny Young a lot. I thought he filled in that role for Eric Kendricks well. Stood up here in the postgame press conference and became one of the captains, one of the leaders, one of the first guys to talk. Thought he had a really, really nice day. I know you like Thomas Duarte a little bit too, right?
Yeah, I thought he just kind of looks a year older. I mean, he looks more comfortable. I think at this point, especially with a younger quarterback, maybe you draw up more routes that use a tight end or a Y and a little bit, across the field or a little shorter throws. So this one, I think he'll be a very valuable safety valve for Rosen, assuming he ends up being the quarterback, even Neuheisel if he's a quarterback. But at this point, I think, we picked a breakout wide receiver every year, and mostly we've been wrong the last 2 years. But I think at this point, I would pick Thomas Duarte. He just has the skills, and we've just kind of been waiting for his breakout, and I have to imagine it's going to come soon.
That'll wrap up our coverage of day one of spring ball, and it may wrap up the Cover 2 recap forever. Ryan Karchi's moving on here, and do you have any last words possibly, man?
Well, obviously, I owe it all to the lead host over here. But thank you, everyone, for watching us. I think we're both pretty shocked that people actually watch this sort of thing. So I am humbled by all of you. So thanks for my time. Hopefully I'll be back. I'll make a cameo sometime.
You can follow Ryan's coverage of UCLA and all other things Los Angeles at Ryan_Karchi on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Edward_Lewis. Until the next time, thanks for tuning in to the Cover 2 Recap.